Hello everyone, welcome back to Exploder. I'm Dan Fraley, back with yet another episode. I am joined today by my special guest, comedian Jake Hill. How you doing, Jake?
I'm doing great tonight. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for coming. We're going to talk about pro wrestling. We're going to talk about the next big busts. When Brock Lesnar debuted in 2002, he was considered the next big thing, and before Suplex City became incorporated, he actually was. Had some great matches with Eddie Guerrero and with Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, and the like. But what about the guys that were supposed to be the next big thing and didn't quite live up to the reputation? So I've compiled a list of the bottom 5, the guys who were supposed to be the next big thing but didn't quite make it, and I'm going to go over it with my buddy Jake. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
All right. Let's start with an old one. This is an older one. This is Tom McGee. Tom McGee debuted in 1986. He was in Stampede in 85. WWE picked him up in 86. He was supposed to be the new Hogan. Now keep in mind, Hogan had only been Hogan for about 2 years at that point.
It's kind of hard to be the new Hulk Hogan before Hulk Hogan was Hulk Hogan.
Right. This is before 87. This is before Andre.
Hulkamania.
Before Hulkamania. I mean, Hulkamania came in 84, but this was before Andre. This was before his biggest point. So he was going to be. So he's always looking forward. The guy had a good match with Bret Hart. Went over on Bret Hart in 86. And this
almost no one ever did, because
right.
Bret Hart didn't want to put anyone over.
Well, and also because this was before before Vince realized that Bret Hart could have like a 4-star match with Moppy. I mean, Moppy can't sell, but it's a mop with a face painted on it. You got to give it a break.
And it had good relationships with Perry Saturn.
Good relationship, and probably Terry Runnels. I don't know.
The second saddest death in WWE.
Yes, the second, and they'll actually put that one on the network. Okay, so. The only one done by Wood Chipper, oddly enough. But oddly enough, the second one in the network. Pepe. Chavo Guerrero, Pepe.
Oh,
that was
Pepe.
also a Wood Chipper, so we're recycling there. Yeah, sadness. Anyway, but yeah, this is before they realized how good Bret was, or Vince did at least. But yeah, and then after that, yeah, he was there. He was actually there technically until 1990. But a little thing happened in 1987, the debut of the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's saying something when Ultimate Warrior is preferable to you. So, you know.
When steroids could not help everyone.
Pretty much. That's the proof, folks. That's what it is right there. Moving from that, probably to steroids. I don't know. Don't sue me. Brockus. Brockus debuted back in the 90s. Worked in ECW for a little bit. He worked in ECW because they realized how god-awful he was and sent him down to ECW. He lost in 5 minutes to Taz. He came in 5th in Mr. Olympia, had a great body, a great look, couldn't talk that well, but that didn't really stop Vince all the time.
I was going to say, that was pretty much the thing. It was like, he's big, giant, he can't talk, he'll be just fine.
Exactly. They're like, we'll put him with Jim Cornette. And, yeah, didn't go that well, and he was in Brawl for All. He got eliminated by, if I remember correctly, Savio Vega.
Good old Savio Vega. You know what's funny? I think I had a Savio Vega action figure when I was like 10.
Well, I'm glad you said 10. That would be appropriate.
Well, I mean, I still got it now.
Oh, he still has it now, of course.
I played with it last week, but in my defense, I had been drinking. So.
Well, just don't do...
Internet, don't make fun of me. I was drinking.
You can play with it, but there's a line. There's a line between what you don't do with an old WCW action figure, but that's beside the point. There's not much to say about Brockus. He was there, a cup of coffee. He was there. He existed. They did these promos for him. He was god-awful. And they released him very quickly, and I assume he's back in Europe doing God knows what, and I don't care. So, good luck with that.
Brockus, if you're listening, sorry.
Yeah, if he's listening, he's still wondering why his ship to the Piggly Wiggly isn't up yet.
He just got it. He gets excited when they find out that his name is on the internet. He's like, finally, my time has come.
He Googles himself on a regular basis, and then sometimes he uses the internet. Another guy, trying to sound weird here, but another foreigner who got a chance, who just tanked it, was a 6'10" Australian named Nathan Jones.
The man that could not get in a kick.
Okay, so the guy started in UPW with Rick Bassman. So that right there should have been a sign. He debuts, they made this big thing, they show these videos, and I'm not going to show them because W will take my video down again.
He was apparently the worst inmate in the world somehow, but WWE was like, sure, let's put him on TV because that makes sense.
When they were in the business of employing the biggest criminals instead of actually having them work there and then become criminals, that's a whole different story. And they bring him in. They call him the Colossal Boga Road, which was the name of the prison he was in. They exaggerated the hell out of his story about he was this and that, and he killed a guy. Whatever. They made him like a James Bond villain, for crying out loud. And then
without the good acting,
and
the ability to do kicks,
and he, for the life of him, couldn't have anything in gold. So his jaw was not made of metal, and his top hat was not razor sharp. So he sucked. But he had a weird accent, and he couldn't wrestle. So he's basically a Bond villain. So yeah, he comes in, and I remember they put him with The Undertaker because I thought that would work. They put him on SmackDown with The Undertaker, and they reshoot his entrance. Big Show and A-Train, Albert, whatever the hell we want to call him, Tensai, Mac Daddy, Sweet Daddy G, I don't care.
Was it Matt Bloom?
Matt Bloom.
Who's probably the next person that's going to be searching this video right now. Because his name got mentioned.
Well, to be fair, though, he has a job compared to some of these other sons of bitches.
That's a valid point.
Yeah. So, yeah, A-Train and Big Show, and Nathan Jones comes in to save the day. And he goes for like a weird jumping sidekick thing that a guy his size shouldn't be doing, and he misses. They reshoot the thing because SmackDown was still taped. So they reshoot it. When they reshoot,
honestly, that had to be the most like awkward thing for the audience. They like saw it happen, then everybody's like, "Wait a minute, just act like that didn't just happen."
Yep.
Then we're gonna. Seriously, can you imagine like, there was at least one dude in the audience that had been drinking. That was just like, man, I feel like I just saw this.
Yes.
It just happened.
It was SmackDown at the time. I guarantee there were a lot of people drinking. So he comes to the ring, so he misses it. So they reshoot. He does the run in again. And on the footage that makes air, he throws the kick again and misses by like a foot. Like a good 12, 15 inches. He misses.
Which I'd like to know, how bad was the first one that they were like, we got to reshoot?
Yeah.
And I've never seen when live on TV they just go, you know what, I give up.
That was the good take.
That was the good one.
That was the good take. That was the take where he hit. That's like if you're doing a movie and there's a shot where there's a boom mic visible in the background, and you're like, nah, it's fine. Just leave it. That's fine. The last one
that was better than the one we did before,
right,
where there was actually Stan from accounting in the scene.
Yeah, the last one he set a fire. This one's way better than the first one. So
seen a Braveheart with a car in the background.
Oh yeah, those are fun. So he does the thing. So they put him in. It was put him with the Undertaker, and it was going to be a tag match with them versus Big Show and A-Train. They realized going into it, oh crap, this guy sucks, and they pull him out of the match. Undertaker beats Big Show and A-Train, two of the biggest guys in the company, by himself, and then they have Nathan Jones come in and do the run-in at the end. And they tend to gloss over that one when they talk about the streak. I wonder why.
They're like, yeah, that kind of happened, but we're not going to talk about it.
It's on the streak, but they don't really talk about it because they're like, oh yeah, that's technically part of that one. And Giant Gonzalez, it's on there, but
I'm going to assume, and here's another person that's probably going to find out that his name was mentioned in this, was Vince Russo there at the time?
Oh, Vince Russo.
He had to have been. That screams Vince Russo.
Oh boy, we've said it 3 times. It means he's going to appear and say something about Jim Cornette. That's how it works. That's the curse of the internet, people. Another guy, so that's enough about Nathan. Nathan Jones left the company after he just did a tour of Australia and decided, like, I don't want to do this, and left. But it was really it worked out because he was already home, so he just went, just walked across the street or something. Like, he didn't travel, he went, I'm going home, and he left.
He just had his grandma pick him up
at
the...
Yeah.
He was like, Grandma, can you come down here and pick me up? I'm sick of my... Like, he left the WWE like somebody that quits McDonald's mid-shift.
Yeah.
That is the greatest part about that. He was just like, you know what? I'm not taking this. I'm going home. You can keep your hat.
Yeah, he threw the hat down, took off his sash, and Grandma picked him up. Because Grandma, by the way, is 7'1", so that really helped out.
She actually did time in prison. That's where he got the idea for his character.
She was tatted all the hell.
She was the one that killed someone in prison. She
was one of the...
Grandma Jones... We here, we like you.
She was one of the original Australian prisoners.
Teach him how to do a kick.
Yeah. Oh, God, nobody can do that. It's over. So, yeah, he's gone, so who gives a crap. The next one, actually, he was there for, he was there for 3 years, was Ahmed Johnson. Oh, my God. Where to start with Ahmed Johnson?
Pearl Plunge.
The Pearl River Plunge with a tiger bomb. And he... could do that, and that's about it. He couldn't talk. He sounded like he'd stuffed something in his cheeks and did not physically know how to remove them. So everything he said was mumbled. Like you had to have he spoke English as a first language, and you still had to have an interpreter to translate what the hell he just said.
Now, Didn't he get kicked out of the Nation of Domination?
He was against the Nation, against Farouk. Then what happened was he got injured. He messed up his kidneys or some crap. And then he came back for a battle royal, injured his kidneys again in the battle royal, which they blamed on Farouk again. Then he was in the Nation, then he got kicked out of the Nation, then he got beat up by Kane for some reason, and then he disappeared. That was his entire career. But this guy was pushed. They were talking at one point of like maybe making this guy like the top guy. This guy's the Intercontinental Champion. He beat Goldust for the belt. He was going to be one of the top guys, and within 3 years, he was on the unemployment line. I mean, that's how bad this crash was.
I feel like, in referencing Farouk, I feel like there's just only one word to describe the disappointment that is Ahmed Johnson, and I just can't find it.
What word would that be, Jake?
What could it be?
I don't know.
But, damn!
There you go. That one's free. That one's free, Ron Simmons. The next one you got to pay us. Oh my God, yeah. And then he goes
and we do take beer.
He takes beer. I take cold hard cash.
I like beer.
Yeah, he goes to. But yeah, the thing was, then a couple years later, he goes to WCW, and he don't look like Ahmed Johnson anymore. He looks like the guy who ate Ahmed Johnson.
He got fat.
He got real fat. He went out, he left the gym and started going to some Jimmy John's and
Burger joint.
Yeah, and all that. Burgers and
that's because he had to actually work at the McDonald's.
Yeah, he ate the burgers.
That Nathan Jones quit from.
He ate the burgers, then the employees, and then the sign out front. It said one bit, and then the rest of the sign was gone.
Ahmed Johnson is actually the reason that they have 1 million served at McDonald's.
Yes, he's part of that billion. And then finally, while this guy's still in the business, technically, this guy, and this is all his doing, but Ken Kennedy / Ken Anderson / the asshole, whatever you want to call him. Have you ever seen a guy with such a rocket on his ass screw it up so quickly in your life?
Oh man, I mean they had plans to push him to the moon. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is when they had the god awful gimmick of the little midget leprechaun.
Oh yeah, Hornswoggle.
That was Vince's illegitimate child because he got drunk on St. Patrick's Day or something. I have no idea where they were.
Which I imagine he does every year.
Probably, but that was originally supposed to be Mr. Kennedy.
Right, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Kennedy is his middle name, of course. Yeah. It was supposed to be, but then dumbass, and I'll call him dumbass because that's what he was, he went out there. He was one of the few people who volunteered to talk about how there aren't steroids in the wrestling business after the Chris Benoit case, right? So he does. 2 days later, Signature Pharmacy gets busted, and there's a list, and I think it was like 12 names, and one of the people on the names was Ken Kennedy. So he goes on the interview, there's no steroids, yada. 2 days later, it turns out there's steroids in Ken Kennedy, no less. He gets suspended. He wins the Money in the Bank, which was supposed to be a good thing. I was supposed to fly. Not only the son, he was supposed to end up with an angle with Triple H.
They were supposed to go to WrestleMania and have this big battle where they were going to help. That was actually going to be what finally pushed Triple H and Stephanie to be the authority that it would take them another 10, 15 years before.
Right.
All because of that angle that they.
And then he wins the Money in the Bank. He messes up his shoulder. He loses it. He then does a hip toss or something. 07, he does a hip toss on John Cena, tears the guy's pec. Then what it leads to is he drops Randy Orton on his head in the suplex.
Oh yes, on Monday night.
Bro.
The night he returned.
Yeah, the night he returned
from the injury. And was like all about ready to.
Yeah.
Drops Orton, and the fact that Orton didn't stab him, because at that time was when Orton had some of the worst possible anger issues.
That's when Orton was the asshole.
Yes.
In real life. And
he about dropped him, and dude got fired like an hour later. And it wasn't like...
Yeah, he was gone.
It was like he walked to the back, and Vince was just like, I might need you to call Nathan Jones's grandma to come pick you up, because... you fired.
Yeah. And the thing is, very rarely does someone walk through the curtain and get fired that quickly. The last person I can think of before that was Scott Hall, and he was drunk. That's why he was drunk on Raw. That's exactly why they fired. Like, you got fired like Scott Hall, if that tells you anything.
Drunk, high, probably naked. That's just something Scott Hall
that's
would do.
after the fact. But yeah, so he ends up in fate worse than death. He ends up in TNA, and he's one of the 87,000 people in the Aces and Eights, which is that's a whole episode we're gonna do some other time because that's ridiculous. And then
there was like 22 members.
There was 22.
Apparently, Spike TV was like,
yeah,
we can't have Sons of Anarchy, so we're gonna have these Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, and there were 22 members, and D'Lo Brown was one of them. If that tells you anything, and
like 15 years after his career.
Well, yeah, D'Lo's good and all, but by this point he's an agent. But that's a whole different episode. We'll get to that later. Kennedy, then he gets fired from TNA for failing a drug test. Shocker. And if I remember correctly, he works in Ring of Honor now, I think. I don't know. Which is not, it's better than TNA, but, think of what could have been.
I thought he worked at a Wings and Rings.
Well, that's too. I mean, if you work for Ring of Honor, you legally have to work at a fast food joint or something.
Oh, okay.
Try to get your shift off. But no offense to Ring of Honor, but come on, let's be honest. And so, yeah. So that's the 5. That's the bottom 5. The next big bust. Guys who couldn't make it. Guys who, just quite frankly, for some reason, didn't make it as well as we thought they would. I'm open to suggestions. Is there anyone we overlooked? Anything else you'd like to add? Add a comment below. Until then, my name's Dan.
I'm Jake Hill.
This has been Exploder. Have a good one.